The crackling wood craves warmth against my palms as I sat, its flames overtaking the darkness through the cave and snuffling it out with its light. The sounds of thunder and howling wind mixed oddly well with the light steps from the pacing soldier in front of me, his shadow passing over the walls around us as he moved. He had returned fairly quickly, drenched, I'll aid, but rather fast. And after getting the fire started, he started his worry walking back and forth in front of me to showcase his stress. "I should have protected you better, and now look what I did," he claims, bringing his hands up to lightly grab at his dripping locks. "Hey," I started, and he just continues pacing, going off on himself. "It's all my fault. You're stranded here, and I knew," he continues, and I sigh. "Eijiro," I call, and he seems to hear that, turning his head to figure out what. What? He wonders, voice more tempered compared to how he was just a few seconds ago. "You did protect me," I stated, using a stick to poke at the fire a bit as he falls silent, his body indicating he was staring at me before finally sitting down at my side near the fire. From my peripheral vision, I could see him eyeing me, looking over what I was doing before I finally set the stick down and engulfed by the flames. The thunder outside brought my attention to the blanket of rain coating the cave entrance, my eyes running over the water with slight admiration, you could call it. I wasn't outside the castle walls until our trip, I admitted, turning my gaze away from the rain to take Kirishima's surprise features. "I always thought—" I paused. "You mean you've never been past the walls? This was your first time?" He wonders, shock clear on his features while I sheepishly nodded. "Looks like that's another thing I missed up on." He chuckles, and I shake my head. "No, I've had a wonderful time." I smiled, my gaze softening as my face heated up. "It was nice, just being with you." The soldier's eyes widened more, his face matching the color of his hair now as he nodded and continued to stare at me, my own eyes averting back to the entrance of the cave in embarrassment. In a moment of silence it just overtakes the air around us, being filled with the sounds of thunder passing through the sky outside. "Can I ask you something?" he asks, earning my attention and causing me to turn. Had he been sitting that close before? I wonder, but don't have time to question it as I nod. "Of course." "What happened back at the castle? His voice trails off as he chuckles in embarrassment, his face brushing with color to showcase his nervousness. "The kiss?" I finish and he nods. I can't help the heat from rising to my own face at the clear memory. I don't want to make you uncomfortable." He quickly interjects, "It's just I don't know what you meant by it." I paused, averting eyes contracted now. "I don't know either. It kind of just happened for me," I say, and he seems to deflate slightly towards my words. "It was nice." I smile, more to myself before finally lifting my gaze to meet his, and his crimson eyes soften in the light of the fire. He returns a smile, still clearly embarrassed, but with a new sense of pride radiating off of him, those sharp teeth displaying his happiness. "Yeah, it was." He agrees, voice low while I scoot closer. My eyes flicker to his lips for a moment before he scoots a little closer as well, his hand lightly resting and reaching around my back. Before he pauses, his fingertips pulling back from the skin of my shoulder just slightly. "Is this okay?" He questions under his breath, making sure I wasn't uncomfortable, like usual. I nod, leaning my head to gently rest on his shoulder. "I think so," I answer, closing my eyes and just letting the fire heat our huddled bodies, riddling us of the cold and the rain had earlier provided. I hear the soldier next to me sigh in what I assume to be relief, while his hand comes to rest on my opposite shoulder, lightly pulling me closer, and I think I like this warmth in my chest. Boots stomp against the dirt path running throughout the village. A huff escapes one of the figures when they bump shoulders with another passerby. "Hey, watch where you're going!" the villager shouts, swiftly disappearing back into the bustle of the townsfolk and leaving the other two alone to continue on their way. It wasn't long before they reached a building lining with outer ring of the village, hoods still up to cover themselves. They hurriedly stepped inside. The door slammed shut behind them, no one really paying any mind as they trotted through the tavern, one step by side of the bar where a barista stood, cleaning a wooden tankard with a cloth. Lazy black eyes flickered up to the two, her hand pausing the action to look beneath the hood of one of them directly, leaning over the side of the bar. And with a nod of understanding, she leads in, brushing the bangs of her short, dark purple hair away from one of her eyes. "Upstairs. Second door down the right." And he sounds pissed. She comments, "When he does never surprise me." The closest one deadpans, a sigh escaping his lips while his comrade heads up the stairs hidden beside the bar. "I'll head up in a bit. I want to know what happens," she states, setting the tank down and grabbing another to clean, her back turning to the hooded figure in a dismissive manner. And with another sigh, he turns away, follows his friend's instructions as he climbs up the steps. The bustle of the tavern dims in a buzz, his boots thumping against the wood. Upon brushing the door of one of the rooms open, he is met with a new, much louder thumping, and the ash blonde inside stomping irritably as he paces back and forth. Thankfully, the noise has drowned out by the stern chatter downstairs, unheard by the many there when the others in the room glance to see the blonde. "Hey, Kaminari," a slightly defeated voice speaks, greeting the blonde as he brushes his hood off his head, his free hand coming up to a wave at the green-haired boy. And it isn't until the door closes that the crimson-eyed barbarian stops his pacing, Hangard's gaze flashing across the room and to the two who just arrived. "What the fuck happened back there?" "We don't," Sarah states, but swiftly falls silent when the ash blonde's head snaps in his direction, his gaze flicking between the two. And during the moment of silence that passes through the room, the barbarian's brows furrowed, counting this one specific friend who was nowhere to be seen. "Where the fuck is Shitty Hair?" he questions, voice more toned down, and the two soldiers send glancing in each other's directions, sweat dropping nervously. "We don't know." "Fuck." The barbarian sees lightly under his breath, cutting Denki off with his cursing before turning away to start pacing again. Standing from his spot near the corner, the shorter leader stepped forward, looking between both his group and the other two who had just stepped in. "You lost Kirishima?" Izuku wonders, trying to make sure he hears the two correctly, and when they both slowly nod in sync, his eyes widen in concern. "Did anyone have eyes on him before we could retreat?" The green-haired boy calls out, turning to glance around the room at all the others present. On cue, multiple heads shake throughout the room, declining any hope of knowing where the redhead could have run off to. "Kirishima, Zero, are you sure he still isn't inside the castle? Maybe still protecting the person we were supposed to kill?" Bakugo shouts across the room, cutting into Izuku's attention to question the two calmly. Turning in the direction of the ash blonde, Izuku swiftly shook his head to himself, signaling towards his childhood best friend's aggregation. "No, we followed the guards when they chased him out of the courtroom. It looked like they jumped the balcony," Sarah explains, recalling the memory of as quickly as possible. This seemed to catch the ash blonde's attention, his eyes glancing back towards his dark-haired friend. "They?" he repeats, gaze made of daggers. "Are you saying Kirishima just disappeared with the target?" Seeing Bakugo step forward to towards the two, Izuku quickly interjected, approaching the barbaric group with his hands up slightly in a calm manner. "Kachan, wait, maybe he..." The soon-to-be fight quickly halts as the door opens once again. The same girl with the short purple hair entering with a widened in her usual lazy-looked gaze. I don't know if this is a good time, but... She pauses, moving to the middle of the room, where a table sits idly between the commotion, where she places a paper top on the wood, stepping back so everyone could see. Uh-oh. Ochako is the first to speak up. Some royal guards just came in to set this up, and the tavern backboards. Shara finishes, worry in her tone as the others stare. Fuck. These wanted pictures are probably all over the kingdom by now. Bakugo claims, slamming his hands on the wood and causing the table to rattle slightly. When I find that damn shitty here, I'm going to. So what are we going to do now? The witch of the group questions, looking up from the wanted poster lying on top of the table, the blush across her cheek now visible in the lantern's light. The plan failed, so they're most likely bulking up security. It'll be impossible to infiltrate again. Izuku comments, a few mutters escaping his lips as he buries his hands atop of his head. Kirishima's missing, and now they have his face plastered all over this damn realm. Bakugo explains with a huff, resting his hand on the table and glancing down at the paper. But what we know is that means Kirishima escaped. The Green Boy comments, finally looking across the room to the two soldiers. He's probably out of town by now, Izuku theorizes. While the rest of the group continues to chat about what to do, the brown-haired witch turns, looking over the frog-like girl witch in curiosity in her gaze. Is something wrong, Sue? Uchaku wonders, easily gaining the shorter girl's attention, causing her to shake her head gently. And with one last concerned glance, Uchaku nods. All right, just let me know if there's anything. She breathes, earning a nod from the greenette as the door busts open. Coast is clear. Ida, a rogue knight who chose to join Izuku on his travels, calls out, earning swift nods from the rest of Izuku's group before they each grab their own gear. We'll meet you guys back at Bakugo's room and come up with a new plan. Izuku informs, voicing his words out to everyone else in the room before he starts out the door, sending friendly waves towards the others in Bakugo's group. And with the squad out of the room to start their own journey, Mina sighs, eyeing the door with a spectacled look running across her pink face. Are you sure Kirishima will show? She wonders, glancing towards the ash blonde who scoffed. What if he's the target with him still? I know that damn extra he's going to meet us at my realm's borders, like I said. Bakugo shoots, grabbing the wanted poster from the table. You didn't answer my second question. What about the target? The pinkette pushes, irritating the blonde more than he already was. Same thing as before. He sees, crumbling the paper in his hand and causing the two soldiers standing beside each other to glance at each other worriedly. You think he'll protect her again? Kaminari whispers to his comrade, unbeknownst that Bakugo had heard his quiet words, but chose to shove the thought of what happened earlier aside. Still, the memory of his crimson-haired friend jumped in front of his blade to shield a target Kirishima himself had been sent to help kill, plagued his mind well into that night. Hey guys, sorry that yesterday I didn't post anything. I had a major headache. I said I was sick on the community post, but if you were to ask me how I felt about that headache, I would have said 11 out of 10 because that's how bad it was. It took me actually a couple of hours to get rid of it. I took so many meds. Not like in a bad way, but like, ugh. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoy this all so much, and I love you. Bye!